Hey, so I'm giving the kids a break. I'm out on the road. How you like corn? Man, you see they just harvested those cornfields. Iowa had a hard time this year. There was a really strong wind that came and killed all their corn crops. Anyway, lockdowns. We're going to talk about these lockdowns. Look, unless you're slow, you realize that fear can be used as a tactic against you. As the Democrats are fond of believing and acting on the idea that you should never let a good crisis go to waste.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Well, the looming threat of colder weather has brought about a second wave of COVID fear that they're using fully to their advantage. Now, how can you use fear against people? Well, let's say they're going to get a benefit if they move to the West. So you place the fearful thing in between them and the West, or on their west side, and they move towards the East, away from that benefit. So you can hurt people by associating their benefit with that thing that is to be feared. You can also motivate people by placing the fear on the other side. Let's say you want them to go to the West. Well, then place the feared thing on the East, and they'll run even faster towards the West. Classic manipulation. Well, what is it that the Democrats don't want happening right now?
We know the state has put out mandates to help slow the spread of COVID-19. Bars, restaurants, and gyms must all close by 10 p.m. Private home gatherings are limited to no more than 10 people.
You're going to mandate that people wear masks in the home? Well, good news. Democrats are here for you. Gavin Newsom now says that you should wear a mask at home. According to Newsweek, ahead of Thanksgiving, California Governor Gavin Newsom and the California Department of Public Health released new safety guidelines for all private gatherings amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The new rules come with strict restrictions that aim to help reduce the risk of spreading infection. Gatherings are defined as social situations that bring together people from different households at the same time in a single space or place. When people from different households mix, this increases the risk of transmission of COVID-19. All gatherings must include no more than 3 households, including hosts and guests, and must be held outdoors, lasting for 2 hours or less. They are now suggesting that if it's like me and my parents, I guess that is 2 households in the state of California. So if it's me, my parents, and my sister, then that is 3 households in the state of California. I'm sure this is going to be and what's going to happen? The cops are going to come knock on your door and arrest you or fine you if you get together with family members on Thanksgiving. I'm sure this is going to be wildly effective. I'm sure, you know what? You're right. We need to elect Joe Biden so that we can have the federal officers come to your house. If you are in a house with you and your parents and your sister's family, we need the feds at your door. If this sounds like a dystopian sci-fi novel, it's because we've basically reached that point, according to what is now being requested. The new rules state those at a gathering may remove their face coverings briefly to eat or drink, as long as they stay 6 feet away from everyone outside their own household and put their face covering back on as soon as they are done with the activity. The latest guidelines add face coverings can also be removed to meet urgent medical needs. The existing face coverings also set out by the CDPH also apply. They state everyone must wear face coverings in high-risk situations, including in outdoor public spaces, when maintaining a 6 feet distance outside from those outside your household is not feasible. Also, no singing, no chanting, no shouting. And you should participate in quiet activity. Musicians are allowed at gatherings, but they must be from one of the 3 households. Also, no playing of wind instruments. So, this is all going to go great. I'm sure everybody is going to abide by this in California. I'm sure that every single person is going to abide by this in California. By the way, the state with the most confirmed COVID cases in the United States, California with 855,000 confirmed COVID cases, despite massive lockdown restrictions. And all of this COVID talk is predicated on the notion that if you just flip a switch, it goes away, and that switch is Trump. That is a pagan, silly notion. It is not true.
What the Democrats don't want happening right now is demonstrations of how much people really protest these elections. They don't want that. Everybody saw what happened. You guys are being dicks. Democrats are being dicks. You made us choke on the fucking mail-in ballots. You had no fucking sympathy. We were a population under the fear of COVID, and you used it to fuck with our election. Whether every last one of those ballots is legit or not, you assholes should be clear enough, honest enough to admit, but you're not. You should be honest enough to admit that, yeah, that's disturbing for anybody to see a vertical line in Biden's numbers in the middle of the night. Even if all those ballots were legit. You assholes don't realize how disturbing that shit is? And who set it up? COVID? And who sent COVID? The fucking Chinese? And you guys don't have any pity? And then you tell Donald Trump to concede? We don't fucking want him to concede. We don't want him to concede. Okay? So that's what's going on in this country. We got all these demonstrations being done by level-headed people who know that the steal is on. Okay? You guys want to steal something that basically you ought to lose control of because you're raping this country. Okay? You accuse the president of quid pro quo. You use a tape that everybody can hear. There's no quid pro quo. Ukrainian president said, I don't even feel pressured. And you bitches don't know how to leave that shit alone. And let me say, I understand human nature enough to know why you didn't want to leave it alone. Okay? You don't want to leave it alone because you're actually guilty of quid pro quo. And it would be better for you to have something to throw back at your opposition, a reverse accusation. It'd be better for you. I understand that. So even if you have to fashion one out of pure bullshit thread, you'd rather do that than to leave it as it is. Donald Trump not guilty of quid pro quo. To compare with the record of Joe Biden and his son Hunter and all these foreign agents and companies. You'd rather throw dirt on Donald Trump. I understand that. But you guys have no fucking mercy. And your mercilessness, your wickedness, your lying, your lack of sympathy in light of COVID. Let me find out that you guys actually pulled the trigger on COVID through some deal you had with China. You guys, do you think that any American would want you guys to actually survive as a party? Your party would be outlawed for the next 20, 30 years. Nobody could claim to be part of the Democrat Party for 20, 30 years. It would be outlawed. Not unlike how they outlawed the Communist Party in Russia after the collapse of the Berlin Wall. Okay? Lockdowns is not about COVID. Lockdowns is about manipulation. Here's what's going to happen. The principle says that eventually Satan is consigned to a bottomless pit.
The prophecy that in the last days God will confine Satan to a bottomless pit signifies that Satan will be utterly incapable of any activity, since there will no longer be any counterpart with whom Satan can relate. In order to eliminate our common base with Satan and be capable of judging him, we must understand the identity and crime of Satan and accuse him before God.
How does this happen? This happens in a free world when people learn their lesson. They come off the heels of fresh satanic shenanigans, painful happening, and they're like, more than ever before, no mas, we don't want no more. And they form coalitions, they write laws, and make determinations not to allow the same loopholes to be used against them again. Since Satan is actually one big loophole of free will, people will not use their free will in that manner. They will gain the wisdom over it. You kind of wonder, why is it that people still try communism? It's because they haven't learned their lesson. Communism never works. But after a while, people won't even entertain the thought anymore because they just don't want another round of pain. Okay, they've had enough. This, in and of itself, is the reason why Satan is consigned to a bottomless pit where people don't even want to hear his pitch anymore. So we're heading for those days because you stupid Democrats are pouring on the pain. You think the ends justify the means, but you're actually sealing your own coffins. You're sealing the coffin on the Democrat Party itself. All right, like, share, subscribe. Talk to you later.